This is a type of Paladin build for the Undertaker. Now, the cool thing about this build is that there's lots of versatility to be had right in here. This is going to be focused mostly on dealing holy damage. So, for the expeditions that you should be taking this build for, would be for Gladius and for the Night Lord, the final endgame, the final Night Lord. This Geralt is just going to demolish these guys right in here. With this type of build, as a matter of fact, you're going to be able to trade hits, as you can see right in here, and basically no-brain the entire fight of the final boss of the game. So if you're still having troubles with this guy, then this Geralt is just going to be your solution. Not only that, but this is not going to be like just for these two types of bosses. She is also going to be efficient against enemies that are resistant to holy damage. Because that is the main thing when we're making a build in this game, that sometimes you're good against certain types of bosses, but sometimes you're not as good as other ones. Because of how much raw damage potential we have with this build, this is one of the highest health pools of the game that you have right in here. This is a wholly resistant enemy, and we're doing pretty good job against this guy right in here. So we really shouldn't be worrying about the enemies that are going to be resistant to the holy damage. But then again, this is a build that's mostly going to be beneficial for the holy weak enemies, especially for these guys that I know that you hate, that I hate, that everyone hates, and every time that they show up, they are a pain in the ass. And here, as you can see right in here, we can make quick work of these enemies. And there's just going to be no issue. We can no-brain them. We can basically trade hits with them. We can basically trade hits with any single thing that we want out there. The cool thing about this build is that this is not only like a melee build. I've added a lot of thought into this build, and this is also a build that if you want to play it as melee, then you can play as a melee. But this is also a build for incantations as well. The problem in here, I don't have any footage right in here, but I'll show you the DPS potential in a little while. I don't have any footage potential for incantations, because while I was initially trying to make this an incantations build, I didn't manage to get Discus of Light in any of my expeditions. So that's the problem with the incantations type of build. That if you're looking for something very specific, and you're probably not going to find it. But that's the cool thing about this build as well. That initially, when I was theory crafting this build, this was going to be a incantations type of build, and then it ended up being just a general paladin that can basically take on any single thing that she wants to take. So what we're going to be focusing on right in here is going to be raising our holy attack power up. The cool thing about this is that this is going to increase your incantations damage and also the damage of your weapon, provided that you have a starting armament deals holy damage. I do have to say that the RNG gods were amazing with me with this drop right in here. I don't think that it will be easy for you to get partial HP restoration upon post-damage attacks. This is going to work amazingly well with trance. Starting armament deals holy damage and fate +2. So fate +2 and holy attack power up is going to give us a little bit more damage, while also the character skill cooldown reduction +2 is going to allow me to be using the trance as much as I want, and then having that partial HP restoration with the trance. Here, it's like nice, like changes the compatible armament skill to the Sacred Blade at the start of the expedition and Vigor +2. If you use the Sacred Blade point blank upon the enemy like a shotgun, it deals a tremendously amazing amount of damage, but more often than not, we want for this to be buffing our character at all time. Like I mentioned, this is also a build that benefits quite a lot from being an incantations type of build. Mostly if you manage to get the Discus of Light, and the Discus of Light is going to deal so much flipping damage when it comes to DPS. Take a look at how fast those numbers grow because of the Discus of Light right in here, and that is that we're not even having in mind the talismans, the potential talismans that we can get for this type of build if we did manage to get like cool stuff like this. Another cool thing about this is that specifically with this character, like if you're fighting things like this, you're using your Discus of Light and then you pair it up with the trance, you can immediately regain your stamina back, and then you can trade with the enemy, and the Discus of Light are going to be coming back to you so that you can continue the assault. And as soon as you run out of stamina, then you can use your trance and then continue like so right in here. So if you do manage to set this build up like here, like I have it right in here, the Discus of Light is going to be dealing insane amounts of damage. It's going to laser and delete the final boss of the game. It's going to laser Gladio. It's going to be making so easy for you to beat the Gladio raid whenever that he shows up, and you actually do have this build set up right in here. And the things that you're going to be getting out there on your expeditions are really going to be dependent on what is it that you manage to get. If you manage to get Discus of Light, then get a little bit more of FP so that you don't have to worry about stat lights, shots, anything that gives you FP, like FP with consecutive attacks or FP cost reduction with spells and things like that. If you manage to get the Discus of Light on your expeditions, then for talismans you're going to be taking like increasing the potency for incantations or the Radagon talisman so that you can cast faster. The same thing goes for the passive bonuses. Anything that gives you faster casting speed is going to improve your overall DPS and how fast, of course, you kill things, and how much can you react to the attacks of the enemies, because Discus of Light actually takes quite a bit of time for you to cast. And if you're going to be doing melee, then again, using the FP cost reduction as much as possible, because if you're going to be using the Sacred Blade against enemies that are weak to holy damage, the Sacred Blade, if you use it point blank shotgun on the enemy, it's going to be dealing tremendous and amazing amounts of damage. So you want to make sure that you always have FP available at hand when that happens. But also, because of the trance and because of the nature of this build and the character in itself, you want to have anything that gives you more bonuses when it comes with successive attacks, like for example more successive attacks for damage reductions or increasing damage. The same thing goes for the talismans, the Millennia's Hands for the talisman, or the Sword Talisman, the Twin Blade Talisman that increases your attack power, and so on and so forth. So that is what you're going to be going for when it comes to the actual melee type of build for this Paladin, but have in mind that this is a character that you can play as you would want to play it. Anyways, if you like the content, like and super appreciate it. And also you that you're gorgeous and beautiful person, you're in the gorgeous and beautiful person, just go to the channel, join the Discord, have a beautiful day, goodbye.